Hey, beautiful biscuits. Sit back, curl up, and let's chat about being fabulous ladies in business. Ladies that work from home, that juggle the mamahood life, and maybe you're homeschooling, maybe you're dealing with young kids, and you're running your own business. I thought this was a really fun tag question that I made up. It's not somebody else's tag. So you're welcome to answer some of these questions in your own video if you would like. I would love to hear from you. I'm actually working with some other mamas to film a couple more YouTube videos with them so that we can hear from more mamas that are running physical businesses, social media businesses. I just think it's fun to hear about it. I'm always curious, and it's kind of a dive into the inner psyche of your local YouTuber. Do we want to dive deep? Probably not too deep. Okay, I'm gonna start with these, and I'll be totally honest, I've been working on this for a while, so I wrote these questions down like 2 months ago, a month ago. When was it? It was a while ago. So maybe it's been more than 2 months, maybe it's been 3 months. I mean, it's probably been 3 months. So I don't actually remember what they are, but I'm getting back into the role of it now that we are kind of getting towards spring-ish, sort of. I mean, I'm hoping for spring. Spring doesn't hit in the Pacific Northwest until May, but I'm pretending it's going to be spring. I'm just going with that. Okay, first one is, what word inspires you? So for me, I love the word abundance. I really find a lot of calm and centering focus in that for work. I like to create things that have an abundance of happiness, that share an abundance of caring for ourselves and tending to ourselves in ways that allow us to have an abundance of gentle joy in our lives. So I think abundance is my word. Did you think you had the success that you have had so far? You know what? It's funny because I've always loved photography. I've always loved filmmaking. I used to film little no-budget independent movies and act and direct in them, or sometimes I'd write them. And it's always been something I've loved, but I'm so surprised that I wound up doing YouTube videos. Because if you'd asked me this, I don't know, 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh, it wasn't even on my radar that was going to be a thing I was going to be doing, was doing YouTube. And I'm a small YouTuber, but no, in no way did I think that I would be on YouTube blabbing away for as many years as I have been. I like it though. It feels like a nice sense of community. You know, I've kind of gotten off of all the social media platforms that I don't enjoy being on. Like, I'm not on Twitter or Snapchat anymore. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I just kind of do, like, I love YouTube, I love OnlyFans, I love my Patreon page. I'm starting to love Instagram again. I was considering hopping off of it there, but I think they're switching up things. I am giving TikTok a try, but so far I'm not in love with it. It's very random and it doesn't feel at all socially connected. And I love that Patreon and Instagram and YouTube and OnlyFans all feels very socially, you have a little community there together that you're building together and that you're interacting with each other. I don't like the platforms that aren't social. I don't see the point of social media that's not actually social. Do I think it's harder to run a business as a woman? I think so, because there's just more expectations on, the camera's doing weird light things. I think there's just more expectations on us as women for what we have to be as a standard. I mean, I don't think it's easy to be a guy either, but I think it's harder as a mother to run a business than it is as a father, because there's a lot of expectations of what you can do and what you can't do. That's hard. I've never run a business as a guy, so I don't know. Ooh, tell us something that you've done that has made you feel powerful. I think the most empowering thing I've done has been, I'm trying to think, is this true? I think it's true. Yeah. Has been filming my romance series. There has been such like a full circle moment of coming back to that and making short films, because I used to do short films and feature-length films and stuff, you know, real tiny independent ones. And it's been so fun to come back to that. No rules, no holds barred. You know, like, I could just create the little worlds that I wanted to and tell those little stories. I think that's been the most powerful feeling. It's made me feel really just in control of my creativity and what I want to be doing. So I think that, yeah. Best word to describe my business is vibe. I think happiness. I really hope that if you watch my OnlyFans short films, if you're on my Patreon, you know, taking part of our self-care and our community of quizzes and games and goofiness on there, that, you know, you get the same sort of happiness like when you're on YouTube with me or Instagram. I hope it's happiness. I hope like happy vibes. I really hope that that's what it is. How do you prioritize yourself while building your own company? That is incredibly hard. So I have really struggled with prioritizing myself immensely. It's not something I'm good at. I don't have a good balance on that. This year, I'm really trying to prioritize myself in a non-selfish way, but like in taking care of myself, because I know we have some big family decisions coming up in the next couple of years that I really want to be physically and mentally in a good place to decide on. You know, I have lots of business commitments that I want to live up to, and I really feel like I've kind of put myself on the back burner for years now, and I really want to prioritize myself a little bit better. And I think when we do that as homemakers, the whole home, the whole business, it has that energy that becomes better because we're prioritizing ourselves. So I think that's really important, and that's something that I always feel guilty on when I'm taking care of myself. But I'm getting better at that. I really am. I'm making a conscious effort to get better at that and to be more tending towards myself. What's a roadblock that has almost made me quit? I think when I was getting all that trolling and it was just relentless. It was like, I think it was 2019 was the year that I got super trolled for like the entire year. It was just relentless. So I think like most of 2019 and then part of 2020 was relentless trolling, and that was a roadblock that I really looked at it and I said, you know, I don't need to do this as my business. I love sharing on social media. I like the community aspect, but I don't have to be doing this. Is it bringing more to my life and my home than it's taking away? And that was a big roadblock. I really had to sit with that and think about it for a long, hard time. And I definitely pulled back a lot from what I was doing. Which probably from like a business perspective, you know, slowed down any kind of growth or success because it was just so much. I really had to like tend to my mental health there and figure out, is this roadblock something I want to overcome? Or is this a roadblock that is saying, you know what, this style of business just isn't for me? I think that's what it is. Do I find it hard to stay focused on one thing in my business? Yes. Oh my goodness. I am such a, let's go over there. Let's go over shiny, 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 shiny. I have a lot of creative ideas, and as you can tell probably because of all the work I do on all the different platforms, and what I've tried to do is I've tried to have some synergy with that and really like connect the dots between my creative ideas so they all flow together and I'm not working against myself in business and in life. And that's been an important lesson, is to not work against my flow, but if I have a ton of creativity or ideas or energy towards something, weaving it all together into a blanket instead of a pile of yarn on the ground that I can trip over. Ooh, look at that metaphor, yeah. Which just rolls off my shoulder with good metaphors. How do I deal with anxiety? So, you know, it's interesting. I'm trying to think with that question. Do I deal with anxiety in my personal life different than my work life? That's a tricky one. So I've done a lot of vlogs on here about like panic disorders and panic attacks that I was getting. And how I've dealt with those. But just like general anxiety, you know, it's really trying to come from a secure place in life. Like I really try to have my personal life feel secure and calm so that if I have anxiety in my work life, that it's anxiety that propels me forwards and not worrying about what could, if, should be, you know, like all of those anxieties that come up with work, with comparing yourself or with, you know, sometimes not meeting a milestone, and sometimes meeting a milestone can be even more anxiety inducing in business, right? Because where do you go from there? So I really try to have a home life for myself and an interior life with my mind and my wellness that gives me the stability to kind of work through work anxieties, because that can be, speaking of roadblocks, a really big roadblock to any kind of success is if we let that anxiety kind of tumble us around and not stay focused. Do I enjoy social media? You know, I genuinely do, actually. I like being on social media. I scroll through social media. I watch YouTube videos. I have OnlyFans people that I follow. You know, I like that it feels social, but that my introvert self only has to engage as much as I want. So if I feel like DMing with social media people I know, or commenting, or liking, or remixing a reel on Instagram, or something on YouTube, where like I can do that. But if I just feel like being a passive observer of our community, I can do that too. So as an introvert, I feel like it really feeds my need for social interaction in a nice way, but that I can kind of temper to what my mood is. Obviously, it doesn't replace real social interaction, but I really like social media. It shows me the world in a broader sense than I would ever be able to see just sitting here in Washington State going, I wonder what's in the world. So yeah, I do. I actually genuinely like, I am not a social media hater. I know it's become fashionable for us millennials to be like, social media is the devil. I kind of don't think it is, though. I think it's really, you know, it's as good as the creators and the artists that you follow and that you engage with. And, you know, if you curate, another millennial term, if you curate your social media life, just like curating your real life, just like deciding who you're going to be friends with, what family members you still want to associate with, you know, it makes a big impact on your life. And I think sometimes we feel like we should feel pressured somehow with social media, and I don't find it that way. I just find it a nice little cozy place to be, especially as a mom of young kids. I'm home a lot. I'm, you know, sitting in a chair or laying down nursing, or I'm nap trapped under one or two kids a lot. So it's like, it's nice to be able to be entertained and not just be watching some violent movie that I don't want to be watching, you know, because I follow a lot of like cottagecore and cozy things and beautiful nature and farms and like relaxing things. You know, I decide what I want to see. So yes, I do. When have you felt burnt out? Has it been more in your professional life or in your personal life? I like that I came up with that question. This is going to be a good series. It's probably going to take me a while to launch this series, basically. That's where I'm going to be asking these questions and more to a lot of ladies on social media and in other businesses, because you know what? I'm trying not to put too much on my plate this year. I'm just going slow, because last year I put a little bit too much on my plate. And it was just hard. It was stressful to follow all those commitments. So eventually this is going to come out as like a whole series, but I thought I'd just chat with you biscuits because I like to do that. Personal or professional has I felt more burnt out in? I think professional. I think I find it very easy to be an at-home mom and a homemaker. I mean, easy is like the hardest friggin' thing in the world, but I just mean that burnout is like, it's a daily cycle. We get up, we're great. Oh, burnout, nap time. Okay, we're good. Bedtime, burnout. You know what I mean? Whereas there's been long, prolonged points with work where I felt really burnt out. Like during, what year was lockdown? Was lockdown 2020? That year was just full of burnout because there was no positive, happy input. And, you know, I was trying to pour from an empty cup. So I would say I felt more burnout in my professional life, but that the end of last year, I felt really super burnt out in my personal life, if I'm being honest. I just had really hit a wall in my personal life of just burnout, and I had to make some really big changes, and I'm so glad I did, because they're finally starting to like ease that sense of burnout in my personal life. But I'm sure you biscuits have seen in my vlogs, you can tell that I'd just been more stressed than I normally was in my personal life. And I'd never really experienced that quite so much before, and it was really difficult because you can't work less hours in your personal life, whereas sometimes with work, you know, you can pull back a little bit. So generally I would say I feel a bit more burnt out more regularly on work, although I've focused on that over the years so that I've gotten to a place where if I'm starting to edge towards burnout, I just pull back a little bit, you know, I do a little bit less, and I do higher quality content that feeds my creativity and then maybe I go back and I make some more, and then there'll be a busy season like summertime. I tend to make a lot of content in the summer because there's sunshine, it's great weather, I feel happy. It's just easier to be happy then. And I think my mood affects a lot of how I feel burnt out. Okay, biscuits, there's actually more questions on here, but I think I'm gonna wait and I'll do another one of this. And I can't wait to interview some more mamas, because I think this will be a fun thing to do. Let's be honest, I might not get it done until the end of the year, but I'm putting it out there in the universe, and now I actually have to follow through, because there you go, that's my trick to myself, so that I actually have to follow through. Biscuits, I will see you in the next video. I hope this was a little insight into, I don't know, kind of the mindset of us mamas that are running businesses and are trying to, grow our families and our businesses and balance our home lives and our self-care. And like, it's a lot to do. And I certainly don't have all the answers, but I really strive to find a balance, because it's like being on a board, on a log, and you're constantly trying to move, so it's in balance. And maybe it's never perfectly balanced, but I'm working on that. I'm working on having the strength to slowly balance and know it's never perfect, Okay, biscuits, I'll see you over on Instagram. Don't forget, come on over for Patreon this month. It's gonna be good. So I've been percolating on some ideas about our inner self and healing our inner child, and I've gotten to a point where I really want to share some of those things. So I love when I have a little aha moment and I'm like, who am I going to share it with? Patreon. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm working on some video ideas. It's funny, when an idea comes together and it's like, it's been on my mind, it's kind of been there working its way through, and I'm like, oh, it's here, I want to share it. So I'll see you over there.